Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to Common English Mistakes. Don't just learn, improve. So today we're going to look at something which came up in a B2 Cambridge exams class I had recently with the suffixes full and less. Sometimes these mean direct opposites. Other times there is a small difference in meaning or context. Other times it's just a completely different meaning. We'll look at the general concept of what full and less mean, and also those more specific meanings or uses. So anyway, the mistake is up here. Some dogs are harmful, but don't worry, mine is harmless. So just pause the video, see if you can correct one of those adjectives. And well done. If you said, my dog is harmless, no problem, but some dogs are dangerous. So we use the suffix full to mean full of, having the quality of, or simply with the noun. I'm sure you all know the adjective beautiful, whereas less is going to be generally the opposite. Lacking, not having the qualities of, or without. If it's still cold, rainy at the end of winter, you might say this winter feels endless without an end. So those two adjectives really don't have a pair. Generally, you don't say beautyless, and you certainly don't say endful. Others, however, like careful and careless, do. You can describe somebody as a careful driver or a careless driver. And we can then also make the adverbs, as ever, adding ly. He drives carefully at 30 kilometers an hour. He drives carelessly much too fast. Another good pair to know is painful and painless. I always use the example of the dentist. Sometimes you go, they just check your teeth, it's painless, but I'm sure we all know other times you go, it can be very painful. But then we get to pairs where there is a slight difference in meaning or a slight difference in context of when you use the words. For example, useful. I hope these videos are useful. Someone's advice can be useful, and a Swiss Army knife is useful. It has a practical use or helps you. But then we don't use useless to mean exactly having no use. Generally, like in these two sentences, you're going to use it to say something is very bad and unable to do specific tasks or do them well. For example, you buy a cheap can opener and you say, it's useless. Maybe you get the can open, but it's very, very bad. Similarly, you might say, our new colleague is useless. He always forgets things. He can do things, he's just very bad at his job. There's also a difference in what type of adjectives useful and useless are. So just pause the video, look at the degree adverbs highlighted in purple, and think what type of adjective useful and useless are. And well done if you said that useful is a normal gradable adjective. You can say quite, very, or extremely useful. Whereas useless is a non-gradable or extreme adjective. And you need to say generally absolutely useless, but you could also say completely or totally. This is going to be a common thing. Full adjectives gradable, less adjectives non-gradable. I'll put a little note next to each one in the video so you know what type of adjectives they are. Another one where there is a slight difference when you use the pair is thoughtful and thoughtless. You can say, he seems like a very thoughtful person, as in there are lots of thoughts in his brain. But generally, you're going to use this to mean when people think about other people's feelings. For example, she bought me flowers. What a thoughtful thing to do. But then you wouldn't say someone's thoughtless, meaning they don't think. You'd probably just say he seems a bit stupid. Where we use thoughtless again is going to be when you don't think or are insensitive to other people's feelings. What he said was thoughtless and really upset her. And similar to that, when you say or do something and don't care about other people or their feelings, we use heartless. So, the company's decision to fire 1,000 people with no warning was heartless, or what he said was heartless. Another pair with a difference in use is powerful and powerless. You can use powerful to mean having a lot of strength, like a tiger, or force, like a car. But then we can also use it having the ability to control or influence things. For example, he's one of the most powerful people in the country. But then you wouldn't use powerless to talk about having little or no strength or force. You'd either use another adjective like weak or just use the negative. My car isn't very powerful. We only use powerless to mean not have control to influence or control things. For example, the employees were powerless when the company made its decision. And then we have the pair of adjectives from the original mistake, harmful and harmless. Harmful, you're going to use to say something causes harm, damage, or negative effects to someone or something. For example, smoking is very harmful to our bodies and lungs. A lot of cleaning products can be harmful, and social media can be harmful to teenagers mentally. And then harmless means not able to cause harm, damage, negative effects, etc. For example, carbon dioxide is a harmless gas. A company might say their products are made of harmless materials. And then again, you can describe an animal as harmless because it can't or won't cause any harm. Just be careful though, because again, you can't say the opposite and that an animal is harmful. Must use dangerous. But then we also have another meaning, which is unlikely to cause offense or upset people. And generally it collocates with the following things: a harmless joke or prank, a harmless fun, or a harmless mistake. All of those are quite natural collocations. So then we get to adjectives which have completely different meanings or are used in different ways. The first one is hopeful and hopeless. Hopeful, you probably know, with hope. I'm hopeful for next season with my football team. But then hopeless is either used in a different way or has a different meaning. So just pause the video, look at the two example sentences here, and think, how do we use hopeless, and what is the other meaning of hopeless? And well done if you said you describe a situation as hopeless, without hope. You wouldn't say, I'm hopeless about next season. You just use the negative. I'm not hopeful for next season. And then the other completely different meaning is talking about ability, very bad. I'm terrible, awful, or hopeless at basketball. All mean my ability is very bad. Moving on to the next pair, which is very different, tasteful and tasteless. You can say this orange is tasteless, doesn't have any flavor, but of course you wouldn't say this orange is tasteful. You would say either delicious or tasty. And then tasteful you're going to use to say something has good style, usually talking about the furniture in a room or how someone has decorated a room, and the opposite, tasteless, bad style. I would say this room is fairly tasteful, but this one is quite tasteless. And then we also have another meaning, which is usually things that people say, comments, jokes, etc., which are likely to cause offense or upset people. For example, he told a very tasteless joke and upset some people in the office. Then we have the pair shameful or shameless. If you describe someone or something as shameful, shameless, it basically means the opposite. Shameful, with or full of shame. My dog looked very shameful after it made a mess. Shameless, not feeling any shame. He'll do or say anything. He's totally shameless. But then if you describe an action as shameful or shameless, it basically means the same thing. Something deserving of shame or morally bad. So, what you did was shameful or shameless. Very bad basically means the same thing. And finally, we have helpful and helpless. Helpful, I'm sure you know, when someone or something gives you help. She was very helpful and gave me advice about the city, or I hope these videos are helpful for you. However, helpless means something quite different. So just pause the video, look at these three sentences here, and think what the three meanings of helpless are. And well done if you said children are helpless until the age of about 3, means they are unable to do things for themselves or without the help from others. The second one, I feel completely helpless because there's nothing I can do, is when you are unable to help a person or a situation. And finally, we felt completely helpless on the mountain during the storm, means you are vulnerable or unable to protect yourself from external factors, like the storm. So anyway, explanation over. If you're finding this video useful, helpful, it would be very thoughtful if you could like, subscribe, and share the videos with others. Would mean a lot, guys. But anyway, when you're ready, let's practice and improve. Just pause the video and put a full or less adjective into these gaps. And well done if you said, I'm gonna get rid of this microwave. It's absolutely useless and doesn't do what it's supposed to well. I think light wood furniture like this is very tasteful. I'm hopeful about my exam next week. I think I'll pass. Then he was so thoughtful and made me a cake for my birthday. Spray paint is very harmful, so wear a mask. And finally, I felt completely helpless when I lost my bank card in a foreign country. So now just pause the video and write, say, or discuss the same sentences for you. Now finally, today's question. What are you hopeful about in the future? So write your answers in the comments, guys. Always interested to hear what you have to say. Anyway, that's basically it for today. Hope those were useful for you, and there's lots more new adjectives that you now know. Other than that, I'll see you for another video in the next couple of days. Until next time, see ya.